the forecast, things looking crazy. A storm on the horizon, the pressure is low. Gotta get moving, put on a show. The news is all buzzing, state of alert, but we've got a plan, we're ready to work. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the face. From the first sign of trouble to the all-clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're open the gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you started to fall. See a little fire or a rising flood, we're a well-oiled machine, we're running in the mud. From the city hall meetings to the rescue teams, turning worst-case scenarios into hopeful dreams. We're training the people, stocking the gear, we're the team you can count on when trouble is near. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the face. From the first sign of trouble to the all-clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're calm in the chaos, we're open the gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. It's more than a job, it's a calling you see. Prepared for the present and what's yet to be. Every second counts, we're ready to react for our communities. We're making an impact. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all-clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're open the gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. Yeah, we're picking you up, we're ready to go. Let's get this show on the road.
I think we're ready to get this show on the road. What do you guys think? Let's do it here. This is the Emergency Management Associates, guys. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina, guys. Welcome to our show tonight. We're glad to be here with you. We're coming on the air a little bit later than we normally would do, but this is the weekend. We've got a lot of information to give you. We hope you are ready for this because we are. We need this information out so everybody will understand what's going on. First thing I want to do is connect with the storm. Let's talk about the storm update. Okay? I'm going to Fox Weather for this. This is good information, guys. Be prepared.
Blizzard, I don't know what it is, guys. This wind is roaring right now off of Lake Erie.
The wind chill's down in the upper teens. Remember, we're in southern Louisiana.
It's a big one. This is definitely a big storm. The wind reducing visibility.
Well, we may have to have a little bit of a race.
It is downright Arctic.
This is something we'll be watching for you, not just through the weekend, but into early next week, right here on Fox Weather. A storm you want to keep tabs on.
All right, welcome back into Fox Weather. Here's a look at New York City, where temps are chilly and feel even chillier when the wind blows by. And that's going to be a big part of this story going forward, the really, really cold air that settles in after the storm passes by. But we still have plenty of time to get to before that. Right now, the winter storm warnings have been extended from really the mid-Atlantic clear through most of Maine. We still have this little area in Maine under the winter storm watch. Everybody else, though, deeply rooted in that purple, and that's set through Monday. So we're anticipating winter storm conditions right through the beginning of the work week. Look at how cold these temperatures are. And so I think we're going to see a lot of snow. Further south, this is more of an ice storm. You get north of that I-40 corridor, and the snow is really going to be the story. And it's going to pile up as we head through the day tomorrow. This is 5 a.m., and we've got plenty of snow showing up across Pittsburgh, D.C., Philly, and even here in New York. And that snow continues until we get a little bit of mixing in places like our nation's capital, down to Richmond and Roanoke. So that could cut into some of the snowfall totals there. But further north, like places like New York, Boston, and points north, I think we could see an all-snow event, or maybe just a little bit of mixing towards the end of this event when we've already seen a fairly large snow event unfold. I do think the Boston area, maybe just north of Boston, that's where we could see some of the highest snowfall totals of this entire event, possibly around 1.5 feet, maybe pushing 2 feet. And then, yeah, you see the wraparound cold air showing up, all those wind vectors coming in out of the north and west, and that's going to keep temperatures downright frigid as we head into the beginning and middle part, really, of next week. So you'll see the snow footprint from this total storm event from Philly through New York and Boston firmly in the pink. So 8 to 12 inches, I think, is a good bet for many. Then you get closer towards, say, the upstate of New York and in some of those spots in and around and north of Boston, and you're closing in on 18 to 24 inches as we get through this entire event. And so here's your day planner as we go through tomorrow and beyond. Tomorrow's the big day for the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. So that's when the snow or the freezing rain or the sleet or the combination of the three show up across Norfolk, Richmond, D.C., Philly, and New York. And then it becomes more about the cleanup and that cold air. You'll notice a lot of these temperatures not going to get above freezing. D.C. staying below freezing right through Tuesday. Same with Philly, same with New York City. So a lot of what falls isn't going anywhere for quite some time. And so just know that, and that we'll be dealing with very cold temperatures for a long time. And so those wind chill values really going to be biting. By the way, this is a big event, not just in the fact that we're going to see big snowfall totals, but the fact that we haven't seen a whole lot of snow in this region for quite some time. In fact, a lot of us are dealing with a bit of a snow drought or a snow departure that is well below average. So this is one of those events where a lot of people haven't seen snow like this, of this magnitude, for quite some time, and you may have to refamiliarize yourself with driving in the snow or maybe driving on roads that have been compromised by ice. So keep that in mind. Take it nice and slow out there. And if you don't have to travel,
don't. Okay? That's what it amounts to. If you don't have to travel, don't do it. It's not worth it. Not worth it at all. Okay? Let's get through this commercial. Let's push on here.
show up, and they're going to be real impressive, Jane. I'm thinking a foot for many, maybe 1.5 feet for spots in and around Boston and points north.
Still not enough to cut away at that deficit, though, from 2021. Look at the snow hole we've been in for the I-95. That's why this is so significant. But let's talk more about the cold that's coming, because Chicago, my goodness. I mean, it's smokestack, steam stack galore because of how cold the air is. Yeah, that water vapor condensing from, you know, the top of the buildings. Yeah, it's going to continue for us. So it is a very frigid weekend for millions of people. As of late, over 90 million Americans under some type of cold weather alert, and those extreme cold warnings, they stretch as far south as Brownsville, Texas. Yes, this is incredible cold. And while this is kind of the short term through Monday morning, also want to caution, and Nick had mentioned it, this is the coldest air of the season. We're talking another cold air mass that is going to settle in across the eastern tier as we go into the upcoming week. And that is what is going to prolong the impacts long after the ice stops and the snow comes to an end.
Okay, she said Monday morning. I'm going to say Tuesday morning. Monday night into Tuesday morning, this storm might end, and then we get that cold air that she's talking about.
This is what is going to lead to perhaps prolonged periods of power outages, which is why we've said it's important to gather all of those, tools to keep yourself warm, fill up those gas cars, power up those, phones, and make sure that you have layers, because with this extreme cold lingering, over 100 record cold low temperatures are expected from the plains to the East Coast following behind this storm system. It's almost as if it's unlocking that Arctic air. For tomorrow, Dallas at 23, 16 in Oklahoma City. Now, the thing is, you have this northerly wind, and now wind chills. Those two will be cut down into the single digits. And then when we see the actual low temperature in the single digits for Oklahoma City, 14 in Dallas, that's when we're talking a dangerous wind chill that could be close to, if not below, zero, where we have a fresh coat of snow. And when we talk about the impacts lingering, right, when you've got snow on the ground and temperatures this cold, doesn't matter how much sun breaks out behind this, that snow footprint, that's not going anywhere, and everything is going to remain a sheet of ice. Look at our wind chill factor. Tulsa, Oklahoma, come tomorrow morning, a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. It's biting, feels like -7 degrees. Midland, Texas, Dallas, Texas, we're below zero, and we're expecting to see some record low temperatures by Monday as this continues to keep its grip across the southern plains. Like I said, that snow footprint, heavy snow on the ground, especially along the I-40 corridor up to the north, not expected to go anywhere. So dangerous colds up across the northern tier as well, where we started in Chicago to the eastern seaboard. Nick, this is going to be a story that stays with us for days to come.
Well, the nation's capital going to get crushed by some snow this weekend, and then possibly a layer of sleet on top of that. But the big storm won't keep anyone from sledding down Capitol Hill. Fox News chief congressional correspondent Chad Pergram explains.
They legislate on Capitol Hill, they hold debates, they have hearings, but when there's a big snowstorm on Capitol Hill, they also sled, if you get my drift. Expect a flurry of sledders at the Capitol, but sledding here was once flaky. An 1876 congressional rule iced out sledders, barring use of the Capitol grounds for play. Officials rarely enforced the ban until after 9/11. Capitol Police regulations prohibit winter activities on the Capitol grounds, including snowmobiling and skiing. Regulation 16.520 specifically melted the fun, declaring no person shall coast or slide a sled within the Capitol grounds. It became an issue during a 2015 snowstorm.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing, sir? Good. The Capitol regulations have stated that there's no sledding or skiing on Capitol grounds for life safety and property damage issues.
I understand the regulations. Thanks for letting me know, but we're going to go do a little more sledding here.
All right, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Leave it to Congress to make a mountain out of Capitol Hill. D.C.'s non-voting delegate to Congress, Eleanor Holmes Norton, asked officials to chill about the sledding ban. Despite the uphill battle, Norton tucked language into a spending bill lifting the sledding prohibition a few years ago. Norton's language supersedes the regulation. The moral to the story is fight the powder. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
All right, Chad, appreciate that. Fox Weather has all angles of this massive storm covered. We're here from the first flake all the way through cleanup, so stay with us 24/7 on your phone or connected TV and online, or watch us from on any device or provider. Go to foxweather.com to find out more. We'll be right back after this.
Okay, that's where we're going to end the coverage with Fox right now. But guys, it doesn't stop. This storm is just started. Okay, it just started. Yes, we've had the storm over in southeastern New Mexico, over into Texas, from northern Texas, Amarillo, and points north all the way down into Dallas. All the way down into Dallas and even down into Houston. Very cold temperatures, and they've gotten some snow. I've got that confirmed. In Arizona, you guys are also seeing some cold temperatures there. Okay? But you're also going to see some rain. Going east, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio, and Indiana. All of you are going to experience this very cold temperatures, even down below zero. 13, 14, 15, 25 degrees below zero. Okay, you're going to see it. Okay, be careful. We want you to be prepared. We talked last night about preparedness. Have jackets, have hats, have warm weather gear, gloves, mittens, and scarves. Make sure you're protected and also protect your feet. Make sure you have proper footwear. Okay, boots. Lug boots are going to help you on that ice and snow. Okay, be prepared. Okay, in your homes, you may see some power outages as we explained yesterday. Okay, the wind is going to be howling anywhere from 15 to 20 miles an hour, all the way up to 35 miles an hour, which will tax power lines. Wind blowing through power lines with ice on them may snap the power lines. That's going to leave many without power. Over 200 million people live up and down this area, throughout the center part of the United States, all the way to the coastline. Over 200 million people are going to be affected. You may see power outages, scattered power outages all over the place. Be prepared. Okay? As I said before, have your generators outside, away from windows, and stretch a electrical cord over into your home to power your appliances. Okay? Also, if you have the opportunity and have the money, have a solar generator, a solar battery indoors. Okay? You can put your solar panels out on your patios, your decks, or even your windows. Those solar panels are going to power your solar generator battery, and you can plug your battery directly into your household current. But if you do that, turn off your power from the outside to your house. Turn off your panel. That way you won't have a power load or even a fire when the power comes back on. Okay? Be careful there. Be very careful. We've talked about this in past years. I'm talking about it again. It's very important. We're going to have some power outages, guys. Okay? It's going to happen. Now, they talked about sleet a few minutes ago. We got some of that at 4 p.m. today here in Morganton, North Carolina. We are in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, meaning on the east side of the Continental Divide. We're seeing some flurries of sleet, ice, snow mix. Okay? Little rice type ice particles. Little ice type rice particles. Okay? That's what we're seeing. It's called sleet. Okay? Our roads have been treated. Okay? Our roads have been treated here, both on the highways and locally, by the slurry that they put out. But that's not going to be all, guys. Okay? Even though they have the highways and roads treated, the highways are going to still freeze. Okay? I saw a report from a reporter here locally that had a temperature gun with him. He pointed the gun towards the roadway. The roadway was 21 degrees. He then pointed his temperature gun at a piece of steel that was guarding a bridge. The steel was 7 degrees. 7 degrees on metal, meaning your cars, that's cold. That's ice cold. 21 degrees on the roadways, that's still ice cold. And even if the snow is melted with that slurry, it's going to reharden and cause black ice. Be very careful out there. What everybody is saying, including all the Department of Transportation officials that I spoke to last night and today, guess what? Stay off the roads. If you don't have to drive, don't. Stay home. Stay in hotels or with members of your family. Stay off the roads. Okay? I can't state that enough. Stay off the roads. Okay? If you have libraries or warming shelters in your towns and cities, go to those if you lose power in your home. Go to those if you lose power in your home. We got our car back today, finally. Thank you very much to 6 Hour and other people that gave us donations to get our car repaired. We got our car back this afternoon. We can go also out to our cars to get warm. Okay, we can turn on our cars to get warm. But remember, even if you do that, make sure you have your windows slightly open to get in fresh air. Okay, you don't want to just be sitting in your car where the car is up against a brick wall or anything else. It's backed up against a brick wall or backed up in your house. You're going to get asphyxiation from carbon monoxide. Okay, make sure you're driving around if possible, or make sure the back of your car where the exhaust pipe is not up against any building or getting clogged with snow. Be very careful. Okay, we want you to live through this. It's very possible you will, but you need to take precautions. Again, I ask everybody to make sure you're properly clothed. Jackets, heavy-duty coats, parkas. Dress in layers, guys. That's going to keep you warm. Again, make sure you have proper footwear, lug-sole boots and shoes. And even wool socks on to protect your feet. Okay? Scarves and ski masks will protect your face from frostbite. The cold temperatures that we're going to be facing, guys, are very dangerous. Within 10 minutes of exposure, your face or your hands can freeze. The flesh on your face and your hands can freeze. Protect yourself, guys. Scarves and face masks will be probably the best bet. Some people like I've got an Air Force parka, a snorkel parka with a hood. Okay, that protects my face very well. But a lot of people don't have those. Do what you have to do to protect yourselves. If you're out shoveling, don't be alone by yourself. Make sure there's someone else helping you. If you're elderly, don't do it at all. Try to enlist some neighbor or friend to shovel your walks. Be very careful. This time of year, especially with these kinds of storms and this cold that we're going to see and we are seeing, people go out there and shovel, they have heart attacks out there. Be very careful. Be very, very careful, guys. This is a time of year for that. But this cold is not going to stop. Okay? Behind the storm is going to become a huge icebox. Huge freezer icebox behind the storm. Temperatures are going to get even lower. Below zero in some cases. Be very careful out here. Be very, very careful. Now, I'm going to go to another Fox report with Secretary Kristi Noem from Homeland Security. She has a message for us, okay? Not just about this storm, but about immigration customs enforcement officers being attacked. One customs enforcement officer got his finger bitten off by a protester. Yeah, I've got a picture of the ICE officer that happened to. The two suspects that did it are in custody.
Been working together here at the FEMA headquarters and have opened our National Response Coordination Center and are working with local and state authorities to make sure that we're getting individuals and communities pre-deployed resources that they may need and also preparing them for the upcoming days, which will significantly impact them and their citizens. The Trump administration and FEMA are working closely with them to get them information, to get them resources, and to help them be prepared and well equipped for the road ahead as we go through this next week. But before I take any questions and give more details on the storm and its impact, I do want to address the tragic situation that we saw in Minneapolis today that unfolded on the streets. It occurred with DHS law enforcement as they carried out their lawful duties to keep Americans safe in the threat of criminal illegal aliens in this country. At 9:05 a.m. Central Time, the Department of Homeland Security law enforcement officials and officers were conducting targeted operations in Minneapolis against an illegal alien whose criminal history included domestic assault with intentionally inflicting bodily harm, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement. About hundreds of protesters then showed up at the scene. They began to obstruct and to assault law enforcement officers. We saw objects being thrown at them, including ice and other objects, and a rampant assault began, and even an HSI officer agent's finger was bitten off. Crowd control measures were deployed to bring safety to the public and to law enforcement at the scene. And once again, I want to remind everybody that this situation and this tragedy did not have to happen. Our law enforcement are doing everything that they can to protect the public. We're praying for this deceased loved one's family and friends, but we also recognize that the Minnesota governor and the Minneapolis mayor need to take a long, hard look in the mirror. They need to evaluate their rhetoric, their conversations, and their encouragement of such violence against our citizens and our law enforcement officers. I'll remind you that Governor Walz today in his press conference said that our officers were not even law enforcement, which is a lie. He's called them the Gestapo. He's encouraged residents and citizens and violent rioters to resist. He's doxed their identities, putting themselves and their families' lives in jeopardy. He's refused to turn over murderers to federal law enforcement officers. He's protected illegal criminals and protected them from being brought to justice, and even overseen a historic, unprecedented theft of American taxpayer dollars. Tens of billions of dollars were stolen under his watch, and he allowed it to happen, and in some instances may have even facilitated it. In other cities and states across the country, we don't see this happen. Local, state, and officials work with us to make sure that we're making their streets safer. I'll point to the city of Memphis, which is where there is a Democrat mayor in place. He worked with us and our federal law enforcement officers, and we saw murder rates drop by 50% because of that partnership. We've seen historic lows in the criminal acts that have happened in that city. We've had the same amount of law enforcement officers there, but a very different result because of the leadership in place. Last week, ICE did over 2,000 different operations, and we saw people be brought to justice and the American people made safer because of that work. We don't have this problem in Texas or in Florida because those individuals in those states work with us, and they make sure that they keep peace and calm while they bring criminals to justice. In Minneapolis, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, they instead choose violence. They instead choose to encourage the destruction of their city and the crime against their people. It appears that they want this lawlessness to continue. It appears that they want chaos to distract from the theft and the fraud and the corruption of their city. I'll remind you that this city has been corrupt for years with what we've seen with people that have been stealing taxpayer money, all under the leadership of Governor Walz and Mayor Frey. I'm asking for all the authorities in Minneapolis and the leaders to work with us. And there are 2 things that we have repeatedly asked the governor and the mayor to do. Number 1, all we want them to do is that when they are going to release a dangerous criminal from their jails, turn them over to us so we can get them out of this country as soon as possible. Since we have been back in the White House with President Trump's leadership, they have released over 490 criminals onto their streets rather than allow us to get them out of the country to keep families safe. The second thing that we have asked the governor and the mayor to do is to help us keep people safe. Just give us backup on the streets while we do our targeted operations to get illegal criminals out of our country, and then we wouldn't have to be there facing these types of situations that we face with violent rioters who are impacting and attacking our law enforcement officers. That's all. Those are the 2 requests that we've asked of them. We've asked them to help us do that so that we can continue to see success in Minneapolis like we see in so many other cities and communities across the country. But they have refused because they want us talking about attacking law enforcement officers instead of the fraud and the theft that they facilitated in Minnesota. One thing I'd like to do before I take your questions on that situation on the storm is give you a few facts about the storm and what we're facing here in the coming days. This storm is going to produce heavy snow. It's going to produce dangerous freezing rain and ice and life-threatening wind chills that will be sustained for days. Power outages, road closures, and other impacts have already started to impact the Midwest, the South, and the East Coast. The most important thing that people can do across this country is to please stay off the roads, to stay home when possible, unless you absolutely have to be out and about. That will not only ensure that you and your family are safe, but that emergency responders aren't out there trying to rescue you when they could be out doing other work to proactively keep people safe and at home. Stay alert by listening to different announcements from your local officials and from your state. We want to remind everybody that in these emergency disaster situations, it's your local officials and local emergency managers that go out and execute response to these disasters. Your states manage it, and the federal government is here to support. We're here and have been opened and visiting and talking with all of the governors and local leaders to make sure they have everything that they need ahead of time, and that we can be as prepared as possible for what is going to unfold in the coming days. I want you to make sure that you get the chance to visit the website ready.gov to see recommendations and advice for how you can protect your family and be prepared for the storm that is coming. We have 17 different states and the District of Columbia that have already declared states of emergency. President Trump has already approved emergency declarations at the federal level for these following states: for South Carolina, the Commonwealth of Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, Maryland, Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Indiana, and West Virginia. I'm sure there will be more coming, and we are turning those around immediately to make sure that states have the resources from the federal government that they've requested. I have spoken several times on conference calls, but also called personally governors and local leaders to facilitate the partnership that we need to help keep this federal response streamlined with their state responses. The Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, CISA, our cybersecurity team focused on the electrical grid and our critical infrastructure, the Coast Guard, and our other federal partners are all embedded in state operation centers across the country. Governors remain in the lead on these responses, and we are continuously talking to them to see what they need to continue to take care of their citizens and make sure that people are safe. I activated the National Response Coordination Center, which is where you are right now, 2 days ago, and we are monitoring the storm and coordinating federal support for the affected areas. At my direction, FEMA has already pre-positioned commodities in many locations across the country. We've embedded partners in state emergency operations centers, and we've deployed IMAT teams, incident management assistant teams, with dozens more ready to deploy at any moment, besides those that have already been pre-positioned. We have dozens of urban search and rescue teams that are ready to go out and to save lives in partnership with our local and state authorities should that become necessary. We do have tens of thousands of people in affected states in the South that have lost power. We have utility crews that are working to restore that as quick as possible, and we expect to continue to see that as ice builds on power lines and trees are affected and we see more damage. But we have partnered with our energy companies and rural electric communities to make sure that we are able to facilitate the repairs as soon as possible to get the power on, especially in light of the cold temperatures that we see coming for days on end. We just ask that everyone would be smart, stay home if possible, take care of your family members, check on your neighbors, and continue to work with your local officials to get through this difficult storm. And we will continue to pray for God to bless this great country and all of the families and the public servants who get up and work to keep people safe. With that, I'll take any questions that you may.
Okay, I'm not going to go through questions because a lot of the reporters are off in dreamland someplace and they're not even asking pertinent questions. But I am going to go show you this. This is the ICE officer that lost the tip of his finger to that woman there. A man also participated. Both of them are in custody and are in jail right now. Now, Nova Scotia Rich was talking about having video of the suspect that had the 6-hour 9mm handgun and dozens of rounds of ammunition. Okay? The dozens of rounds of ammunition, he had a 15-shot clip in his gun. Okay? He had 15 rounds of ammunition in his magazine inside his gun. He also had an extended load magazine with him, which could provide him with up to 36 more rounds. 36 more rounds. Dozens and dozens of shots could have been fired by this man. And yes, guys, guess what? Guess what? He was supposedly an ICU nurse. He did not have a driver's license, nor did he have a car. So my question is this: if he was an ICU nurse, where did he live? Did he live next door to the hospital or in the hospital? How to get to and from work? Why was he carrying a 9mm handgun out along a protest line? Why? Why are you doing that? Again, I'm going to caution everyone. Protest, if you're going to protest, you have that right, but you must remain peaceful. You cannot be calling ICE officers names, yelling and screaming at them, blowing whistles, and going out there and interfering with the officers. You will go to jail, or you might get hurt. If you're carrying weapons, guess what? You're going to go to jail. Or if you are seen with that weapon, going for that weapon, you might get shot yourself. The ICE officer that shot that ICU nurse had 8 years on the Department of Customs Border Enforcement. 8 years. He was also a SWAT commander. He also was a range supervisor, a range master on the shooting range. Okay, SWAT. Okay, this man was highly trained. He knew what was going on. Okay, again, I'm going to repeat what we said before last week. Okay, when the idea of ICE having weapons and using weapons out on the street when Renee Good got shot. This is it. Okay, remember this quotation I'm going to give you. Law enforcement, it doesn't matter whether it's federal law enforcement or municipal, state, or local city law enforcement. It doesn't matter. Law enforcement can use that force which is reasonable and necessary. That force which is reasonable and necessary in order to stop the assault. In order to stop the assault, up into and including the use of deadly force. Law enforcement officers are authorized to use that force which is reasonable and necessary to stop the assault, and no more. Okay? Why was that man on the protest line with a 9mm handgun? Why? He didn't need to be. He didn't need to be. As a result of his own actions, he's now a dead man, unfortunately. Yes, we're going to pray for his family and those people who loved him, his friends. Okay? But he had no business being where he was at. None. Total Vagabonds from Ireland is here with us. Thank you for being here, brother. Appreciate you here. We appreciate all of our people from overseas, Ireland, Scotland, England, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Romania, Australia, Japan, South America, Central America, Mexico, Canada, all over the world. We appreciate you all here. Thank you for being here, guys. We love you. We love you. Okay? Do you guys have any questions for me as to what happened today over in Minneapolis? One other thing. Governor Newsom's in California. Governor Walz of Minnesota authorized Minnesota National Guard to be on the streets. Why? Why? He wants to separate the protesters from the ICE agents. He wants the National Guard troops to stop ICE agents from what they're doing. Guess what? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Who is ultimately in control of the National Guard? Who is ultimately in control of the National Guard? The Commander-in-Chief of the United States, President Trump. The National Guard troops are not going to interfere with our federal immigration agents. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. The National Guard troops are in pocket with the U.S. military. They are military people. They're military people. Okay? I'm going to throw that out there. I have been amongst those National Guard troops. No, I was not a member of the military at all, but I worked with National Guard troops. I was in a meeting with the National Guard troops years ago, and a National Guard general was there and spoke to us. Okay? But what has happened with these citizens in Minneapolis? The Mayor Fry, Jacob Fry, and their governor, dim-witted Walsh, have decided, let these people protest. They have a voice. They said peaceful protest, but it hasn't been peaceful. That's an idiot thing here. It has not been peaceful. If Walsh and Mayor Fry had really wanted to be peaceful, they would call out peaceful protest all the time. Stay away from ICE agents. Stay away from ICE agents. Do not bring weapons. Don't yell, scream, or interfere with federal agents. Don't do it. If Governor Walsh and Mayor Fry also would open up their jails and let the ICE agents into their jails to arrest illegal aliens there, they wouldn't have as much problems as they're having now on the streets. Because the agents of local governments, the state government, have been releasing these bad predators, the illegals that they've held in custody. They release them out on the streets. Now ICE has to go after them again. That's happened. That's happened. Adventure Mike just gave us a $20 super chat. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Thank you for your donation, guy. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. God bless you. But I was a federal agent at one time. I was a federal police officer. I know the law. Governor Walsh said today that ICE agents and federal police don't know the law. They're not really police officers. Really? Really? I can tell you this, they are police officers, and they've been trained, highly trained. Highly trained. Okay? Wick Fittis says the whole thing looks staged. It is. It is staged. Those protesters practice. They've been trained. They've been trained by Roy Singham, a billionaire, providing money for training and outfitting these protesters. Where do the signs come from? George Soros, another billionaire, and Roy Singham, another billionaire. That's where they're getting their signs. That's where they're getting everything they need. Okay? Billionaires from the left are doing it. The Democrat Communist Party of America is doing this. Okay? That's who we need to stop. That's who we need to stop. We need to stop them right now. It's not just Minneapolis, it's Chicago, it's New York, it's Pennsylvania, it's Maine, it's North Dakota, it's California, it's Washington and Oregon, Texas, in fact. San Antonio, Texas was having protests as well. Down in Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi. Florida's even had protests, but guess what? The protests in Florida are very tame because the governor of Florida is a Republican, a conservative. And those conservative people, those law enforcement people in Florida are highly trained. They're also conservative law enforcement. They're not going to put up with shenanigans that the Minnesota governor is telling his people to do. Go out on the streets and harass these agents. That's not permitted in these other states. It's not going to happen. As I said before, Walsh and Fry belong in jail. Governor Walsh and Mayor Fry belong in jail. So does the governor of Chicago, or mayor of Chicago, and also the governor of Illinois. They belong in jail. Mayor of New York belongs in jail. Okay? I'm going to stop there. I'm tired of them. I'm fed up with them. As I said, we're not going to put up with this crap. No longer. Okay? Yes, we have below normal temperatures throughout the eastern part of the United States, from Texas over the East Coast, Florida to Maine. The temperatures are even up in eastern, they're up, not up, but down in Nova Scotia, Canada, for example. Rich Quake reported on one of his broadcasts today that they had temperatures of 17 below zero. That's very cold in eastern Canada. Very, very cold in eastern Canada. Rich, stay warm there. Stay warm there. Everyone, I encourage you to stay warm. Stay indoors. Don't travel unless you absolutely have to. Okay? Please stay safe out there. Now, in saying this, I want to also say that a lot of the churches here along the East Coast and other places have closed down services for tomorrow. They shut their doors through the next few days. Schools are shuttered on Monday and Tuesday. A lot of the schools throughout the southern and eastern United States have closed through Monday and Tuesday at least. These cold temperatures and snow are not going to be there and have people out on the road, have their kids in danger. Okay? As I said, churches shut their doors tomorrow. Schools and daycare centers have shut their doors Monday and Tuesday. Okay? Stay home. Stay home. Okay? That way you'll stay safe. One other thing, with the snow that's happening. Have you heard of thunder ice or thunder snow? Yes, it will be possible across parts of North Carolina and other places. Tomorrow evening, the strongest portion of the winter storm moves through. Areas still below freezing from the upstate through Charlotte and into the Triad and Triangle of North Carolina. You have heavy risk of freezing rain with thunder and lightning to boot for late Sunday evening. Late Sunday evening. Now, I've heard in other places such as Georgia have already seen thunder lightning. Ice lightning, I should say. Be safe out there, guys. That's pretty mean. That's pretty mean. This storm is not going to be good for anybody. Like I said, stay home if at all possible. Be careful out there. Be very careful. Now, with that said, let's go and talk about New Madrid Fault. The New Madrid Fault. I'm going to talk about various cities throughout the New Madrid Fault. Okay? Please, please pay close attention. Please pay close attention to what we're talking about here. Okay? Now, this is Carrollton, Alabama. This is east of the New Madrid Fault, quite a few hundred miles east of the New Madrid Fault. Look what's happening here. We have tremors and we have minor earthquakes. Tremors 1.0 to 1.9. We also have 2.0 to 2.6, 2.7 earthquakes. Tremors and minor earthquakes here in Alabama. Just want to show you that. Okay. Let's go this yesterday afternoon. Those quakes and tremors continued yesterday afternoon as well. Okay. Let's move over to Arkansas. Good old Arkansas. Look at this. Yesterday morning at midnight, the top line here, we have 1.0, 1.1 tremors here. Then, once we got down to midday, about 8 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden those tremors went from 1.0 to 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, even 1.5 tremors here. From mid-morning to late morning here. Okay? Catfish Pond, Arkansas. We've seen earthquakes here before in Catfish Pond. That's why I'm showing it to you. This is right alongside the western side of the New Madrid Fault. This is Catfish Pond yesterday afternoon. We even had minor earthquakes here, 2.0 earthquakes yesterday afternoon here. Okay. About 3:16 p.m. yesterday afternoon, you see a 2.0 earthquake here on that red line. Also in the black line on the far right-hand side, lower black line here, okay, that would be 3:13 p.m., 1.9 tremor. Okay, Catfish Pond, Arkansas. Let's go to Hetachikoon, Arkansas. Look at this. We've had minor earthquakes here in Hetachikoon, Arkansas. This particular seismogram yesterday morning, up at the very top after midnight, we had 1.0 tremors. Then again, mid-morning, all of a sudden the tremors got larger. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 tremors here all morning long. Okay. Hetachikoon, Arkansas, yesterday evening. Look at this. The tremors continue there. Okay. The New Madrid fault is moving. The New Madrid fault is moving, guys. Let's go to Manila, South Manila, Arkansas. South Manila, Arkansas, yesterday afternoon. Look at this earthquake here. Look at this earthquake here. Okay. We had an earthquake. This was 3:02 p.m. yesterday afternoon. This is a 3.5 earthquake. 3.5 earthquake in South Madrid, Arkansas. Or South Manila, Arkansas, I'm sorry. South Manila, Arkansas. Okay. That's pretty good for over on the west side of the New Madrid Fault, huh? Oh, yeah. Small earthquake. Small but felt earthquake here. Let's go over to Marktree, Arkansas. Marktree, Arkansas is where we see the majority of the earthquakes that we see here on the New Madrid Fault, but we see them other places as well. Here in Marktree, Arkansas, northern Arkansas, along the west side of the New Madrid Fault, what are we seeing here? Yes, we're seeing a lot of tremors, but we're also seeing small earthquakes here. Small and minor earthquakes. I'm talking minor 2.0 to 2.9. Small 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here. Okay. Let's look particularly at the earthquake after 1:45 a.m. yesterday morning. Okay. That started off as a tremor just after 1:45 a.m. in the morning. 3 minutes later, it was a 2.0 earthquake. Got larger and larger over the next 2 minutes, and all of a sudden, we had a 3.5 earthquake there. 3.5 earthquake that lasted almost 3 minutes. Almost 3 minutes. So these other earthquakes on the blue and black lines were 1.2 tremors on up to 2.0, 2.5, 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. Okay. Then we jump down to 4:45 yesterday morning on the green line. Tiny, tiny tremors. Then all of a sudden we come over here to, what did I say, 1, 2, 3, 4, say 4:55 yesterday morning. 2.0, 2.5, 2.8, 2.9, 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here. 3.0 to 3.5 earthquakes here. 4:56 a.m. in the morning. 2.5 minutes of small earthquakes here. Then these earthquakes whittle down to minor earthquakes again. Okay, Marquette, Arkansas sees this all the time, literally all the time. Let's look at yesterday afternoon. Yesterday afternoon in Marquette, it simmered down here. Usually in the afternoon, we see more large earthquakes here. Not 5.0 damaging earthquakes, but larger by 3.0, 3.5, even 4.0 earthquakes here in Marquette, Arkansas. That's pretty normal, pretty nominal, as they say. Okay. Truman, Arkansas, further south. What could happen here? Truman, Arkansas, early yesterday morning, just after 12:15, saw actually, I want to say 2, 3, 4, 12:20 a.m. in the morning yesterday morning. 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here. Okay. How would you like to be asleep and all of a sudden, just after midnight, having your bed shake? That's what happened here. 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes can cause your bed to shake. It'll wake you up. Wake you up. After that, had tremors and minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.9 earthquakes here. The rest of the morning. Truman, Arkansas, all morning long. Okay, Truman, Arkansas, yesterday afternoon. Again, yesterday afternoon, just like Marquette, Truman, Arkansas calmed down. Nothing but tremors here. We go further south to Tyrone, Arkansas, on the southern side of the state, but this time right alongside the New Madrid Fault. Tyrone, Arkansas. Okay. Yes, we see some 3.0 earthquakes here. Okay. I want to say 1:28 a.m. in the morning. On the right red line there on the top. 1:28 a.m. in the morning. 3.0 earthquake. Then we come down to 5:30 in the morning on the blue line. Go over to the right. Suddenly we are at 5. What would this be? 5:41 in the morning. 5:41 in the morning, another 3.0 earthquake. Then we drop down to after 8 a.m. on the black line on the left-hand side. We move over 5 minutes after that, 8:05 in the morning, we have another 3.0 earthquake. Multiple 3.0 earthquakes here. Okay. Then we have some minor 2.0, 2.8 earthquakes below that. Yesterday morning. Okay, happens. Just like the other places we talked about, here in Tyrone, Arkansas, things calmed down except for once. Once. About 1:57 p.m. yesterday afternoon, we had another 3.0 earthquake here. All the rest of yesterday afternoon was just tremors and minor earthquakes. Minor earthquakes. 2.0, 2.1, 2.2 earthquakes here. All the rest of this is tiny tremors nobody felt. Okay? Arkansas, guys. Arkansas. Let's go over to DeRidder, Louisiana. Louisiana is also on the New Madrid Fault, the southern part of the New Madrid Fault on the west side. DeRidder, Louisiana had some tiny microquakes and tremors here. You see microquakes at the top just after midnight. Then as the morning goes on, we see some minor earthquakes and tremors here. Tremors being 1.0, 1.9. I believe we had one 2.0 earthquake yesterday morning. Okay? DeRidder, Louisiana. Southern New Madrid Fault. Okay? Let's continue on. Let's go over to Missouri, Barker Cemetery, Missouri. Okay. Barker Cemetery is almost returning to what it was about a year or so ago. Tremors and minor earthquakes here. Tremors and minor earthquakes here, guys. Microquakes and tremors and minor earthquakes. Microquakes are totally unfelt, 0.1 to 0.9. Tremors here are 1.2 to 1.5, 1.6 tremors. Yes, you see a couple of minor earthquakes here. See a couple of minor earthquakes. About 8:42 yesterday morning, we have a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. After 10:20 yesterday morning, another 2.0 earthquake. 11:31 yesterday morning, we had a 3.0 earthquake here on the blue line there. Barker Cemetery. Last year, towards, I am going to say from the summer on, we had small earthquakes and minor earthquakes at Barker Cemetery. Minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.9, 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here at Barker Cemetery. Things seem to be calming down here in Missouri here, the center of the Pneumatic Fall here. They seem to be calming down somewhat. Let's go see Barker Cemetery yesterday afternoon. Barker Cemetery yesterday afternoon, we had some tremors and we had some minor earthquakes up at the top on the red line. Okay. That's going to be approximately 12, say 12:20, 12:21 yesterday afternoon. 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. We have some 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes here. After 2 p.m., after 2:04 p.m., 2.3, 2.4 earthquake there on the black line. Barker Cemetery, Missouri. We have more large earthquakes here in Missouri as well. Let's go over here to Guam, Missouri. Good old Guam, Missouri. Look at this. We have long duration tremor and earthquake activity here. Long duration meaning it lasts upwards of 6 and 7 minutes here. Seismic activity lasting up to 6 and 7 minutes here. Goes from, say, 1.0 tremor, turns into a minor earthquake being a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. That's what we see here, guys. That's what we're seeing here. Then we drop down to say 11, 10, 9, 8:15 in the morning. About 8:18 in the morning, we have just tiny tremors. That builds up to minor earthquake status in just a couple of minutes after that. The same thing happened after 9:15 in the morning. Tiny tremors building up to a minor earthquake at about, let me look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at, say, 9:07, actually 9:22 yesterday morning, 2.5, 2.6 earthquake here. Another one after 1:06 p.m. or 1:06, excuse me, not 1, 10:06 a.m. here. Minor earthquake activity. Guam, Missouri, guys. In Guam, Missouri, yesterday afternoon, look at this. We had long duration tremor activity here. At one point, 12:59 p.m. yesterday afternoon, tremor activity building up to 2.4 earthquake, minor earthquake. That activity started at 12:59, going over to 1 p.m., 101, 102, 103, 104, 105 before the tremor is finished. 6 minutes of seismic activity here. We go from tremors to minor earthquakes and back to tremors again. Guam, Missouri, the central part of the Pneumatic Fault. Missouri, guys. Matthews, Missouri. This is over just north of New Madrid. Just north of New Madrid. We're seeing here tremors and minor microquakes here at the top. Then we jump down to 1, 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, just tiny tremors. Going down to 4:15 tremors, and then we go over to the right here. All of a sudden we had 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes as well. Up to 3.0 earthquakes within 2 minutes after that. The Pneumatic Fault is moving here. After 11:15 in the morning at the bottom of the red line there. Again, we have tremors building up within 2.5 minutes to 2.0 earthquakes. 3 minutes later, we have a 3.0 earthquake here. And more minor earthquakes and then tremors after that. Matthews, Missouri, over just north of New Madrid, Missouri. The whole place is moving, guys. The whole place is moving. Matthews, Missouri, yesterday afternoon. The same thing here. Over here on the right-hand side on the left, it's 2 p.m. Over here on the right, now we have 2:11. Tremor activity. By 2:14 p.m., we had 2.7, 2.8 earthquake activity. Minor earthquakes. Minor non-felt earthquakes. This seismic sequence lasted until 2:15, 2:16, 2:17, and 2:18. Again, 6 and 7 minutes of tremor activity and seismic activity here. Earthquakes felt. Earthquakes fell here. The Pneumatic Fault is moving, guys. Let's look at St. John's Bayou, Missouri here. Yes, at the top here, after midnight yesterday morning, tiny microquakes and 1.0 tremors here. Hours of them. Hours of them until 5 a.m. in the morning. Then the tremors increase here. Tremors increase at St. John's Bayou. We've seen 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes in the past here at St. John's Bayou, Missouri. Yesterday afternoon, the same thing. Same thing. Now, as I have told you before, we're having earthquakes on the East Coast as well. That's because the center of the Atlantic plate is moving. It's moving. It's expanding like this. The Atlantic plate is expanding from the center, pushing Europe and Africa in an easterly direction. On the same token, the Atlantic plate is pushing Greenland, Canada, and the United States and northern Mexico in a south-southwesterly direction, which are causing earthquakes over here on the East Coast. Earthquakes on the East Coast, guys. That's what we're going to show you right now. Briefly. Just briefly. Okay? Okay. Let's go over to Montrose, Georgia. Montrose, Georgia. Yesterday morning at the top at midnight, microquakes only. Microquakes only until about 8 a.m. Then they became tremors. Okay? At 9 a.m., 9:15. All of a sudden, those tremors become minor earthquakes as well. 2.0, 2.2 earthquakes. Then after 11:30 yesterday morning, 11, I'm going to say 11:33 yesterday morning, 3.0 earthquake here. 3.0 earthquake. 4 minutes later, 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. 2.5 minutes later here, another 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Then tremor activity. The bottom green line here on the left-hand side, we see tremors and minor earthquakes here. Upwards of 2.0, 2.2 earthquakes here. 11:45, 11:46 yesterday morning. Montrose, Georgia. Okay. How about Savannah, Georgia? Look at this. Yesterday morning at midnight, 1.0 tremors here. Then at 3:14 a.m. in the morning, 3:14 turning into 3:15 seconds afterwards, on the right-hand side, on the upper right-hand side of this diagram, on the black line. 3.0 earthquake. Then we come over here after 3:46 a.m. in the morning. Another 3.0 earthquake here. After that, here on this diagram here, Savannah, Georgia, we had some minor earthquakes. 2.2, 2.5, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes here. Minor earthquakes like this are not felt, but the 3.0 was. The 3.0 earthquakes are felt earthquakes. Savannah, Georgia, yesterday morning. Okay. Now, let's go over to Illinois. Okay. For just a minute, let's go over here and depart over here to the northern part of the New Madrid Fault again. Look at this, Decatur, Illinois. A couple of weeks ago, we saw 3.0 earthquakes here in Decatur, Illinois. Now we are seeing nothing but tremors here. The northern part of the New Madrid Fault here in Illinois is moving a lot. From the moment after 12 midnight, all day long. Literally all day long. The northern part of the New Madrid Fault is moving. Decatur, Illinois, guys. Decatur, Illinois, yesterday afternoon. The same thing. But, the difference here. After 5:13 yesterday afternoon, 2.9 earthquake. 2.9 earthquake here. 5:13 yesterday afternoon. 2.9, maybe 3.0 small earthquake. Decatur, Illinois. As I said before, the New Madrid Fault is moving in a big way. Now, let's go over to North Carolina, where I live. Grandfather Mountain. Look at the activity here just west of Morganton. Grandfather Mountain just west of Morganton, North Carolina, where I live. Only 25 miles west of me. Earthquakes, guys. All kinds of earthquake activity here. Yes, we felt this here in Morganton. Carol had some flowers on her dining room table with water. The water moved. The water moved. The water in our toilet bowls also moved a great deal. This was tremors and minor earthquakes here at Grandfather Mountain yesterday all day long. Literally all day long here. No joke. Grandfather Mountain yesterday afternoon. Tremors, minor earthquakes here. Let's go over and look at Roper, North Carolina, near the coast. Look at this, guys. All morning long, we had 1.0 tremors and microquakes. Microquakes and 1.0 tremors until 7:25 yesterday morning. 7:25 yesterday morning. 3.0 earthquake. Multiple 3.0 earthquakes lasting about 10 seconds. Small seismic activity here. Enough to rattle your bed. People might still be sleeping or just barely waking up when their bed moved, or they felt rattling underneath their feet. Then, 3 minutes later again, you can see the earthquakes here. You can see the separation of earthquakes here. 3.0 earthquakes here, guys. Last about 10 or 15 seconds here. That's significant. Roper, North Carolina, yesterday morning. Okay. Roper, North Carolina, yesterday afternoon. Tremors here and minor earthquakes. Tremors and minor earthquakes here. The largest being a 2.0 earthquake. Then let's go over to Sumter, Sumter, South Carolina. Sumter, Central South Carolina. On the on the Eastern Continental Divide. Eastern Continental Divide right here. I'm sorry, that was yesterday afternoon. Sumter, South Carolina, yesterday morning. Okay. Just like we saw at Roper, North Carolina, but this time, I want to say 7:50 yesterday morning, 3.5 earthquakes. Notice that this situation, the agency cut off the top and the bottom of this sequence. 3.5 earthquakes hit here in Sumter, South Carolina, on the Eastern Continental Divide. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes later. Just over 4 minutes later, we have another 3.2, 3.3 earthquake here. This one lasts about 15 seconds. Then tremor activity after that. Sumter, South Carolina, yesterday morning. The ground is moving along the East Coast. Sumter, South Carolina, yesterday afternoon. Look at just after 2 p.m. 3.3 earthquake here. 2 p.m. yesterday afternoon, 3.3 earthquake here. Then 2:20, 2.7, 2.8. 2:40, 2:40 p.m. at 2.8, 2.9 earthquake as well. Sumter, South Carolina. Again, this is on the Continental Divide. The same Continental Divide that's pushing or getting pushed by the Atlantic Plate. By the Atlantic Plate, which is also pushing the east side of the New Madrid Fault, causing earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault as well. The west side of the pneumatic fault is being pushed by the Pacific Plate to the west. Energy coming from all over on the western side of California, Oregon, and Washington, all the way across the East Coast. All the way to the pneumatic fault. That's why we're seeing so many earthquakes on the pneumatic fault. Now let's go over to Tennessee. Northwestern Tennessee. Ridgely, Tennessee. Look at this. Did USGS show any of this information I've talked about? Did they show it on their map? No, they didn't. Not a single earthquake, not a single tremor did USGS show. I am the only agency, I am the only person showing you this information. Yes, it's available. You can go find it yourself. This information came from the what's it called? The sorry, guys, I'm going to go to the source here. This information I got came from Memphis University, Memphis, Tennessee University. Their seismological department. That's where I got it from. Memphis University Seismology Department. Earth Sciences. You can go there. University of Louisiana. University of Missouri. University of Arkansas. University of Kentucky and Tennessee. They've all got it. It's available. Why is USGS not showing it to us? We've talked about this before. USGS says that they're going to show as much information as they possibly can once they see it. They see this. These universities, these states are providing USGS with the information. USGS chooses not to show it. They don't want the public to see this. They don't want the public to see this, guys. This is a crying shame. Okay? My buddy Arnold Schmidt from Alberta, Canada says, here in the chat, what folks don't realize is that every time they venture out in hazardous road conditions, they effectively have engaged all the EMA agencies, not emergency management agencies such as mine, but all the emergency management agencies around this country. They risk lives. The Department of Transportation has people out in every state. State troopers from the law enforcement organizations of every state are out there, as well as sheriff's deputies from every county. Police officers from almost every city is also out there risking their lives when someone goes out on the roads. That's what happens. When someone decides to drive out there, they risk their lives. They risk everybody's lives, guys. Gemma says she just came in now. What's going on with the pneumatic fault? Gemma, go back and watch this program from a little while ago. I talked about it. The entire pneumatic fault from the north all the way down to the Gulf of America is moving. Tremors, minor earthquakes, 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes up and down the fault. Up and down the entire fault line from Illinois south to the Gulf of America. I've shown you all the information here. It's there. I've shown you the information about the East Coast as well. I told you I would, and I did. The place is moving, guys. The place is moving. Why do I show you this? Because we want people to be prepared. We want people to be prepared. Okay? If we don't show it, nobody's going to. And when something happens, people are going to go, what happened? Why was I not notified? Why did nobody say anything? Guess what I just did? Emergency Management Associates showed you the information. I did. Just now. I am the only agency, the only product that's showing this. Because the state and U.S. agencies refuse. The states and universities, not universities necessarily, the states and the United States decide, oh, we're not going to show that. We don't want anybody to know about it. Why? Because the politicians want to remain in power. This is all political. They tell the agencies not to say anything. Because if people are going to move away, the politicians will lose their jobs. Politicians will lose their jobs. Who's going to repair the roads if people move away and aren't paying taxes? People aren't frequenting the stores and shops in those cities and towns. Who's going to keep the lights on? Who's going to keep the city running without the taxes? That's why nobody said saying a word. They want to keep everybody in the dark. California is on the move. Seismic energy from way up in Cascadia territory. Vancouver, British Columbia south over into northern Mexico. We have energy over on the southern Cascadia subduction zone. Earthquakes. Earthquakes happening now. Right now, guys. Right now. Okay? The Mendocino Falls area. The entire Mendocino Falls area is moving. And USGS doesn't want to show anything. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Right here. You don't see anybody showing anything here along the Mendocino Fault? There are earthquakes there. There were earthquakes there yesterday morning. There were earthquakes here this morning. There were earthquakes here this afternoon. USGS took them down. The United States Geological Survey took these earthquakes down. From Petrolia, California, all the way east out here. This is Anderson, California. The Mendocino Fault. This is a 2.0 earthquake out here. There are minor tremors, there are minor earthquakes all the way out here in Anderson, California, on the Mendocino Fault. They're not showing anything. We have earthquakes out here off the coast on the San Andreas, the Gorda Escarpment, and on the Cascadia subduction zone. They're not showing them. They're not going to. Because if everybody knew about it, people would leave this area in droves. People leave this area in droves. Up here in northwestern Washington, people here know what's going on, but not all the time. USGS is telling the news stations to stay out of it. USGS is telling the Pacific Northwest Network not to publicize it because they know the earthquakes are happening, not just the volcanoes, but along the coastline as well. Earthquakes are here every day. I assume you hear earthquakes here every day. Look at Washington State right now. There's not showing one earthquake at all. Not at the volcanoes from Baker, up here at Mount Baker North, just south of the Canadian border. They're not showing anything over here at Glacier Peak. Mount Rainier down here to the south, not showing one. Not one. How about Mount St. Helens? Not one earthquake. But we all know that there are earthquakes hitting here. Mount Adams here. Down here at Mount Hood. Earthquakes. Moon Volcano, what was called Bachelor. Newberry Volcano. The Sisters Complex down here to the south, South Central Oregon. Volcanoes all over this area. Even down into South Central Oregon at Crater Lake. Crater Lake. And USGS doesn't want to talk about it. USGS doesn't want to talk about this at all. Crater Lake is a volcano. Over here on the northeastern side of Crater Lake, we had a seismograph called Cleetwood Cove. They shut the Cleetwood Cove seismograph off midsummer. Down here on the northeastern side, they had a seismograph called Mount Scott. They shut that one off in November. Wizard Island seismograph is still there. But Wizard Island seismograph cannot be counted on because it's exposed to the environment. Rain, sleet, hail, wind. In this seismograph, getting off various readings. They're not true. The only seismograph that is available is down here at Bunkhouse. Crater Lake Bunkhouse here in the south central part of Crater Lake. But they have also shut this one down pretty much. They're not putting out any reliable information from the bunkhouse either, because when I've been able to get it, I've shown you this information. They don't want to go out. They don't want it to go out. They do this on purpose. They do the same thing down here at Mount Shasta and further south over at Mount Lassen. They're only telling us what they want us to know, which is nothing. You have to go searching for the data. If you don't search it, you're not going to find it. All of these volcanoes are part of the Cascade Mountain Volcano Ridge, stretching from over here at Mount Lassen all the way north into Canada, all the way north into southern Canada. Volcanoes all over this area. You don't find it because they're not talking about it. They don't want anybody to know about it, just like they don't want any of the earthquakes to be publicized. I am the only agency, even on YouTube, that's talking about it. Nobody else is. Nobody else anywhere. Because I research the information, give it to you. They don't want it coming out. They don't want anybody to know about it. Today, over here on the New Manifold, they're finally showing an earthquake here. Ridgely, Tennessee. I show you the seismogram from Ridgely, Tennessee. This is a 1.5 tremor. I guarantee you there's more earthquakes than just a 1.5 tremor. I showed you plenty of tremors here at Ridgely, Tennessee on that seismogram. But unfortunately, USGS doesn't want to talk about it. Heaven forbid. Look where it's at. This particular location is on the eastern pneumatic fault, eastern side of the fault. It's moving. In the past, we've had 3.5 earthquakes here in Ridgely, Tennessee. Yeah, all over this area. But again, the agency doesn't want you to know it. They're not going to publicize it. Heaven forbid. Any questions? Hurricane Heather says, we know what's going on with Shasta and Lassen. USGS ain't about to say anything. Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier too. Yes, they're not going to say a darn word. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Like I said, we are the only agency that is reporting anything like this. Nothing. It's not going out. Large earthquake down here near Easter Island in the South Pacific. 5.0 large earthquake down here near Easter Island in the South Pacific. Over here in Fiji, Tonga area, we had a 5.0 earthquake here in southern Fiji. Southern Fiji. This is far enough away from any islands nobody felt it. The Pacific Ocean waters absorbed the shockwaves of this quake. Further south, an aftershock. But this was a 4.9, 5.0 aftershock. Okay? This is also a deep quake. This was a very deep quake. 600 kilometers deep. As a result, this 4.9, 5.0 is going to propagate a larger shallow earthquake. It's going to propagate a 6.1 earthquake. This 5.0 earthquake here is going to propagate a larger shallow earthquake. At least a 6.1 earthquake within the next 3 to 10 days. 3 to 10 days, which will occur either around Tonga, Fiji, down here in the Legacy Islands here, up here in Vanuatu area, or even up here in the Solomon Islands, or Papua New Guinea. Okay? But you need to know this. We've seen seismic energy come over here from the Pacific Islands over here to Chile and Argentina. We've seen that happen before. There are 40 earthquakes here in South America. Is USGS showing one of them? No. Heaven forbid. Heaven, cotton picking forbid. Central Chile right here and even Argentina. 14 earthquakes here. 14 earthquakes here. Another 12 earthquakes up here in northern Chile. Every day. Every darn day. And USGS doesn't want to show any of them. Occasionally they might show 3 or 4 earthquakes all throughout South America. That's all. That's all. Because they don't want anybody to know what's happening. That's the problem. Earthquakes here in Peru, Colombia here, over here in Central America. 12 earthquakes here in Central America. 42 earthquakes here in southern Mexico. From the Guatemala border all the way up here to Puerto Vallarta. All the way up here to Puerto Vallarta here. 42 earthquakes here. Why are they not showing them? Quiet minds want to know. We want to know. By the way, let's go over here to Western Turkey. Let's go over here to Western Turkey, guys. Don't you just love this? They want to play as if nothing's going on. They want to play as if nothing's going on. There was a 5.0 earthquake here in northwestern Turkey. 5.0 earthquake. What have we told you about earthquakes here in northwestern Turkey? Swarms and swarms of earthquakes have been happening here. From 1.1 tremors all up to 4.5 earthquakes. 4.5 moderate earthquakes. Today, a 5.0 earthquake happened here. As I said before, whenever we have swarms of earthquakes, usually it means we're going to have another large earthquake in the area. That's what happened here. Large 5.0 earthquake here in northwestern Turkey. It's going to happen. All up and down the western coast of Turkey, we have earthquakes. Over 150 earthquakes here on the west side of Turkey. Northern Turkey, southern Turkey as well. Earthquakes all over. Then we come over here to eastern Turkey, near the Syria border. 82 earthquakes here. 82 earthquakes here in eastern Turkey. Why? Because 3 years ago, February 3rd, 2023, nearly 3 years ago, We had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here. It unalived over 5,000 people and injured over 5,000 more up and down the entire Turkey-Syria border region. Why do they have so many earthquakes today? They are aftershocks. The earthquakes that happen today here are aftershocks. Aftershocks are going to hit here every day for more years than you even can think about. It's already been 3 years we're having earthquakes here today. Unreal. And again, USGS doesn't want to talk about it. Heaven forbid. Earthquakes happen here in the Eastern Mediterranean, all over the Eastern Mediterranean, over here in the Aegean Sea. We're here in the Adriatic as well. North and west of Italy, Croatia, Serbia, Romania, earthquakes here. Italy, guys. Southern Italy down here in the toe of the boot. Sicily earthquakes, minor earthquakes here. We go up here to Naples, just southeast of Naples. What do we have? Vesuvius volcano. Earthquakes are happening here because Vesuvius is steaming. Scientists here believe Vesuvius will erupt. They don't know when, but it will erupt. They have evacuated citizens from this area. Not everybody, but they have evacuated some citizens from this area. The whole area all around the volcano is urbanized. Thousands, close to 1 million people live all around this volcano. They have earthquakes here. They have tremors. They have minor 2.0, 2.9s. They have 3.0, 3.5 small earthquakes so far. They have had upwards of 4.5 moderate earthquakes here at Vesuvius volcano. Earthquakes continue happening here, all the way over here to Naples. All the way over here in Naples. Is USGS talking about it? No. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. North Central Italy here, we have 28 earthquakes. USGS not showing one of them. They range in size from 1.1 tremors all the way up to 2.8 earthquakes. 1.1 tremors at 2.8 minor earthquakes. Northern Italy, the same thing. The northeastern part of the resort areas of Italy, minor earthquakes and minor tremors. The same here in northwestern Italy here. Resort areas that are getting hit with tremors and minor earthquakes. The Alps Mountains, the same thing. 1.0, 1.1, 1.2 tremors all throughout the Alps Mountains. See, edge of the plate, my gosh. Germany, Switzerland, France, Austria. Tremors, minor earthquakes there. France. Yesterday, France had 18 2.0 or large earthquakes here. 2.0, 2.7 earthquakes all over France. Literally. All the way up here to Brittany, France. All the way up here to Brittany. Throughout this area. USGS not showing them. Why not? Why not? They hardly ever show any earthquakes in England at all. England is getting hit with minor tremors. They're not showing any earthquakes here in Sweden, Norway, or even Finland, but there are earthquakes hitting here. Unreal. Unreal. And anyway, guys, we've gone over 104 minutes. I don't want to take you any longer. It's over an hour and a half now. Guys, I show you this because I care. You deserve to know what's happening. All you deserve to know what's happening. I show it to you. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Yes, guys, that ICU nurse, supposedly from Minnesota, from Minneapolis, pushed an ICE agent. He had a gun. He pulled the gun. The ICE agent was there that got pushed, felt for his life, and the lives of his other comrades there. He felt for the lives of the protesters as well. That nurse had no business having that gun at the protest. He pulled the gun. Unfortunately, he was shot and killed. Word up there. Word up. Don't bring a firearm to a riot. Don't bring a firearm to a riot because you will be held responsible for it. Don't do it. You don't point a gun at anybody unless you intend to use it. In that case, it will be used against you. It will be used against you. My dear friend Heather is asking for a devotion tonight. Guys, yes, I'm going to leave you a couple of scriptures here. I'm going over to 2 Corinthians tonight. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. Okay? 12, verse 9. This is Paul. Okay? The Apostle Paul got caught up in talking about the third heaven. Lord gives men weaknesses that they may triumph over them. Paul manifests the signs of an apostle. Here in the 12th chapter, verse 9. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Okay? Let's glory in our infirmities, because we will have greater power. We will have greater power, guys. The Lord's going to bless us. The Lord's going to give us that which we need. The Lord's going to bless us, guys. I promise you that. The Lord will bless us when we ask Him for favors. Go to the Lord in prayer. Be humble. Be submissive. As a babe. And the Lord will answer your prayers. I promise you that. Now, guys, I've given you a lot of information tonight. Please, guys, come forward tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 for a weekly Sunday school class where we're going to be talking about Genesis chapter 3 and 4. Let's go here in prayer. Come prepared to talk about Genesis 3 and 4 tomorrow. We'd love to see you. Our weekly Sunday school class is taught on this channel, Emergency Management Associates. Our weekly Sunday school class is called Come Follow Me, the Savior Said, approximately 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. We appreciate you being here. Guys, if you want to help us support this channel, you see 2 PayPal addresses going across the bottom of your screen. Go to our PayPal and give us donations there. We'd appreciate it. You also see our mailing address, 504 Bethel Road, Box 401. Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. After this program is over, in the comments section below this video, you can leave us messages there as well. We'd appreciate it. If you have questions, leave us questions there, and I'll come by and answer those questions for you. Also, you see our email address, rltnspdema@gmail.com. rltnspdema@gmail.com. You can leave us comments, questions. You can leave us ideas that you want to see on this show, and we'll do it for you. May God bless you. May God bless you. I want to also thank again Sig Sauer and quite a few other people for giving us donations to pay to fix our car. We got our car back this afternoon. God bless everybody for that. We appreciate each and every one of you. I want to thank our mod squad. Our mod squad. Guys, we love you. You're the best mod squad in the business. Best mod squad on YouTube. I love each and every one of you. I love each and every one of our EMA family members as well. God bless you. Please beware of the cold. Don't go out unless you absolutely have to. Stay off the roads. Be safe out there. Make sure you have preparations in your home right now. There's not any more time to get it. Take care of your preparations. Take very good care of it. Okay? Make it last all throughout the rest of the weekend into Monday or Tuesday. Okay? Please make it last. God bless you, and God be with you this day and always. I will be back on the air tomorrow afternoon with more information about this storm. Okay? As soon as it comes available, I'll show it to you tomorrow afternoon after the Sunday School program. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a good night, everybody. Much love. See you soon. God bless. Take care. Bye.
Here at Emergency Management Associates, we're dedicated and true, bringing you the essential knowledge, helping you see things through. From disaster preparedness to navigating recovery's embrace, we're here to guide you in every unpredictable time and place. We break down the complex, make it easy to grasp and absorb, sharing strategies for safety, the vital lessons you can't afford to hoard. So thank you for watching, and thank you so much for your sub. You're a key part of our growing family, a member of our knowledge club. With every like, every share, and every comment you send our way, our critical message spreads further, helping more people every single day. Together we're stronger and more prepared. That's the truth we all abide. You help us build resilience with nowhere for uncertainty to hide. Your engagement truly inspires us. Your feedback acts as a guiding light, helping us continually grow and making our channel's future bright. We're always learning, always striving to be better, bring you the most up-to-date information, no matter the weather. Emergency Management Associates is here for you now and forever, it's true. Keep watching, keep learning, because we truly appreciate all that you do. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow. Come follow me, the Savior said, tomorrow morning.